Solving linear inequalities more. So all the rules for solving linear inequalities are the same as solving linear equations, except when you multiply or divide both sides. That's huge. Not if it's already there and you're distributing. If you multiply or divide both sides of the inequality by a negative number, then you must change the direction of your inequality, meaning if it's less than, it becomes greater than, and vice versa. All right? If you need help understanding why I do a certain step, look at my video on solving linear equations series of videos, okay? If you need help on interval notation, the basics. If you need help with more inequalities and they're more basic than this, then or simpler, then go to my solving linear inequalities, the basics video. So we're going to solve each inequality. We're going to draw it on a number line, and we're going to put your final answer in interval notation. So what I want to do is color code this, and I'll do the first couple this way. I may do them all this way, I don't know. So we'll do yellow for solve the inequality. So here to solve this, I need to distribute the 3 first, right? Anytime we solve something, we need to simplify both sides. That needs to be done first. Simplify both sides. So here, the left-hand side is simplified, so just bring it down. Greater than or equal to, this is going to be 6x plus 3. And now we have it simplified. Now we need to move stuff around. Again, I'm going to move my x's or variables to the left because I think it's easier to think about when you get the final answer. I didn't say you had to do it. You just need to know what your teacher requires. If your teacher wants you to do that, that's fine. There's no mathematical reason to say you have to. That's a preference thing. But I prefer to put them on the left. Didn't say you had to, because it just makes it easier in the end, in my opinion, to know what's happening. So I'm going to subtract 6x, okay? And eventually I want you to say, oh, I got to add 7 as well, but I'm going to keep the steps separated here, but I want you to get to that point where you do both steps on the same one. That cancels. 5x minus 7 greater than or equal to 3. I don't change that. I did a negative 6x, but I didn't divide by it. I just subtracted it. And then I'm going to add 7 to both sides. So 5x is greater than or equal to 10. And then I'm going to do what? Divide both sides by 5. And that 5 is not negative, so I'll leave it. Nope, it's not 5. I'll leave it greater than or equal to. 10 divided by 5 is 2. All right? So let's do in the fuchsia, the pink here, let's do the drawing on a number line, okay? So on the number line, I care about what number? 2. Which way do I shade? To the right. There's my arrow to the right, infinity. And then this is going to be a bracket because it's got the equals. So there's my number line. And then my final answer, let's see, let's put this in this blue here, all right? So we're going to say this is going to be 2 comma infinity. 2 gets a bracket. Infinity gets a parenthesis. Okay? So we'll use the yellow, the pink, and the blue here. So the difference between this and the basics video is the solving of the inequality is going to be more involved. It's more, it's bigger. Okay? So here, what did I say, yellow? So here, to simplify the left-hand side, I take this negative 2 and distribute. The 7 is not times that, right? It's 7 minus something. It's minus 2 distributed. So the 7 stays out front, negative 2x, and then plus 8, right? And I'm not doing anything with my sign because I'm not doing anything to both sides, so just leave it less than. Right now, I'm simply simplifying the left-hand side. So then I put together my 7 and my plus 8. The 7 is positive. That minus sign goes with the 2x. So this is going to be, if you want to, 15 minus 2x less than, or you could put negative 2x plus 15. It's the same thing. So 15 minus 2x or negative 2x plus 15 less than. Now that left-hand side is now simplified. Let's simplify the right-hand side. So I'm going to distribute the 5. 5 minus 10x. And you can't do anything else with it, so just bring it down. 5 minus 10x. Now we got to keep going. I'm going to put my x's on the left-hand side. So I'm going to add 10x so I can cancel it over here. Okay? I'm going to add 10x. So then this is going to be 15 plus 8x is less than 5. And then I'm going to subtract 15. And that's going to be 8x is less than negative 10. And then divide both sides by 8. Okay? So my answer, x is compared to negative. If I simplify that, 2 goes into both of them, 5/4. Do I change my less than here? No. See, it doesn't matter that my answer is negative. I divided both sides by 8, which is positive. So I don't change it. And here, I subtracted. I didn't divide, so that's why I didn't change it. So then x, I started to circle it, but that's not really my final answer. That's my inequality answer. X is less than 5/4. So then, I think I said pink for the number line here. So then Negative 5/4 is the number I care about. It's okay to mark it as a fraction. Okay, no need to do anything else. Just mark the number you care about. Less than is to the left. And then shade the arrow, which represents negative infinity. And then what goes around 5/4? Why is it a bracket? It shouldn't be a bracket, right? I heard you asking it, right? It should be a what? Parenthesis, because there's no equals. If there was an equals there, it would be the bracket, right? It would be the bracket. So, and then my interval notation here is going to be parentheses, always on negative infinity, comma, negative 5/4, and this also, in this case, gets a parenthesis because there was no equals there. And that's what we put on our inequality. Number line. All right, so they're just getting bigger. This is just getting bigger. 8x plus 3 on the left, you can't do anything with it. So I'm just going to bring it down each time. You can wait and write it down all at once or whatever, but I'm going to bring it down. I'm not changing that right now because I'm not doing anything to both sides. Distribute the 3. 6x plus 3, and then bring down your plus x plus 5. Those things just come down, okay? Now, still got to simplify this side over here. You're not done. So I'm going to say 6x plus x is going to be 7x, and then plus 3 and plus 5 is plus 8. And then bring this side down if you didn't already. Greater than or equal to. Now I'm going to move my 7x over because, again, I want my x's on the left. Nothing, that's not magical. That's not proper. You don't have to do that. It's just, I think it makes it easier to read it in the end. That cancels. It's going to be x plus 3 greater than 8. Subtract 3 from both sides. X is greater than 5. And then my interval notation, my number line is going to be 5 that I care about. Which way is greater than? Is to the right. So I'm going to shade out here to the right. And then my arrow in here is infinity, and 5 gets a parenthesis. And then I get parenthesis 5 comma infinity with a parenthesis, and that's my interval notation. That's my interval notation. All right? So another one, just parentheses all over the place. We're going to simplify it. And I'm going to change my color scheme up here just to do something different. But I am going to continue to use 3 different colors. Inequality, 1 color. Number line, 1 color, that kind of thing. So 5x plus 15 on the left-hand side. Now I can't do anything else with that. So now go to the right-hand side. The first thing I need to do is distribute this. It's going to be 6x plus 3 and then minus 3x. Just bring that down, right? So I still have work to do over here. So on the other side, I'm just going to bring it down. 5x plus 15 less than or equal to, and put these two together. 6x minus 3x is what? 3x and then plus 3. And then I'm going to subtract my 3x from both sides because I'm going to move them to the left. It's nothing. You don't have to do that. It's just what I'm choosing to do. 2x plus 15 less than or equal to 3. Then I'm going to subtract 15 if I didn't already do that on the last step. That cancels. 2x is less than or equal to negative 12. Then I divide both sides by what? A positive 2, which means x stays less than or equal to. We don't change that because I divided by a positive 2. The answer is negative 6, right? Negative 12 over 2 is negative 6, but x is still less than or equal to negative 6, and that is my inequality. And so then on my number line here, I'm going to say this is going to be what? Negative 6, and less than or equal to, less than is going to be to the left. So shade out here and shade my arrow real dark, and then that's negative infinity. And then on negative 6, I get a bracket because it's equals. So negative infinity, comma, negative 6, parentheses, and bracket. Oh, and I didn't do it wrong. I just didn't change my color. I'm changing my color. Sorry. So negative infinity to negative 6, bracket here, parenthesis here. Same thing, I just had an orange. But I promised you I'd change the colors, and then I didn't change the colors. All right, so here we have an inequality with fractions, right? We got 2 fractions here. And then my fractions have denominators 3 and 2. So I'm going to work this the same way I work equations with fractions. I'm going to find the LCD, multiply every term by the LCD, and then eliminate my fractions. So here, what is my LCD? Well, does 2 go into 3, right? 3 is the largest one. Does 2 go into it? The answer is no. So then I find multiples of 3. I go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on and so forth until I find the first one that 2 goes into. And in this case, that LCD is 6, right? 2 goes into 6. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say 6 times 5x minus 1 over 3. That term is less than or equal to 6 times this term, 3x plus 7 over 2, minus, don't forget 6 times your whole number here. So what I'm really doing is I'm taking 6 times this side, and I'm also taking this side times 6, and I'm distributing. But when I distribute up here, I'm saying, okay, I'm sorry, not there. I'm showing my distribution. This 6 times that, 6 times that, right? I'm showing my distribution, right? Showing my distribution here. So that's how I do that. I multiply each term by the LCD. So now I'm going to remind myself, okay, wait, what is 6 really over? It's really over 1. I'm going to remind myself on the times that 6 is times a fraction and say, okay, that 6 is in the top of the numerator. It can divide out with anything in the bottom of the denominator. So the 6 and the 3 divide out and become a 2. So this becomes 2 times 5x minus 1. Now, talk about this in my equations videos, but when I do this, when I simplify the 6 and the 3, they divide out and become a 2. I'm distributing that 2 to more than one term. So I think it's best for you to show this step right here where you show 2 and then 5x minus 1 in parentheses. You probably won't miss it on this one, but if that was a negative 2 and you have that 2 written up top and the negatives down lower, sometimes you overlook that and make a careless mistake. Seen it many, many, many times throughout my teaching career. So I just think it's a good idea to show this step. 6 over 2 is 3, and then I'm left with 3 times 3x plus 7, and then minus 6 times 1 is 6. All right, so one step, and I eliminated my fractions. That's my glory hallelujah moment, okay? So what I want to do now is do what I've been doing this whole time in this video, and that is simplify both sides and then solve it from there, right? All this is solving my inequality. We have a lot of work on that side of things here. Then we're going to draw our number line and put it in interval notation. So on the left-hand side, if I sort of forget about this over here, then I've got to distribute, right? I've got to distribute. So let's do that. Distribute the 2. And again, I'm a fan of circling that. So 10x minus 2, less than or equal to. There's nothing else to do to the left-hand side, right? So now I'm ready to go to the right-hand side. Now I forget about this over here and say, what do I do on the other over this side? I distribute, right? So I take this 3 and distribute, and that's going to give me what? 9x plus 21, and then minus 6. Minus 6. 9x plus 21, and then minus 6. And then I say, okay, what else can I do to this right-hand side? Well, I have like terms, the plus 21 and the minus 6, right? So I'm going to keep my less than or equal to, and I'm going to keep my 9x. A positive and negative, you subtract. 21 minus 6 is 15, and then you take the sign of the larger number. 21 is positive, so you keep it positive. I can't do anything else to the right-hand side. I need to bring the left-hand side down, and now I'm at the point where, okay, what do? I start moving things. And again, I'm going to say this. I'm going to move my 9x to the left side. I'm going to put my variables or x's on the left side. It's not what you have to do. I just think when you're dealing with inequalities, it's easier to read it and understand what's going on. So I'm going to subtract 9x from both sides. This is going to be x minus 2 less than or equal to 15. All right, didn't divide by anything, just subtracted. And then here, there's a best move. I'm going to add 2, unless I did it on the step before. Remember, I want you to get to that point where you say, okay, I need to add 2 and cancel that over here. Well, if you didn't do that, that's fine. Do it now. This cancels, and we get x is less than or equal to 17. X is less than or equal to 17. So then I say, okay, that's my inequality. Now let's draw my number line. Graph it on that. What number do I care about? 17. Less than. Which way is it less than? Shade over here to the left. And there's my arrows being shaded. And what's out there? I'm just going to try to use all my colors. What's out there? It's going to be negative infinity, right? And what goes on the 17 here? What goes on the 17 here? On the 17, we have a bracket because it has what? This equal right here, right? That says use a bracket, not a parenthesis. So now my interval notation looks like this. It's negative infinity, comma, 17. Fix my 1 there. 17, not sure where that dot came from. And then on my infinity or negative infinity, I always have a parenthesis on either one of those, but here it's negative infinity. And on the 17, I have the bracket. And then I'm going to box my final interval notation answer. All right, so remember, this video was the same thing as the solving linear inequalities. We solved the inequality, we drew a number line, and then we put an interval notation. The difference was the work here in this first part over here was much more complicated. The problem had parentheses, or it had fractions, or it had something else involved, a little bit more involved than what the setup of the problem was solving the inequality part previously. All right, good luck.